Hello, friends. Father Marcus here again. Last time we spoke about sacrifice in Mesopotamian pagan religion, and this time I want to speak about lamb sacrifice in the Old Testament. More than 90% of the time that lamb is mentioned in the Bible, it's done with some sort of reference to sacrifice. Now, lambs were considered clean animals, and they would be sacrificed to God for their sins, for the sins of the people, and to show the people just how serious sin is. Sin causes death and destruction, and it was shown in the sacrifices that were being offered to God. These offerings were generally, they were killed, and generally the lambs were burnt on the altar for God. The person who offered the sacrifice to God had to lay his hands on the lamb or another clean animal that was mentioned in the Bible as being okay to be sacrificed, to symbolize that the animal will stand for him in the offering. Then that person would have to kill the animal, usually by cutting its throat. The offering that was chosen had to be unblemished, meaning it had to be only the best animals of the herd that would be okay for sacrifice. It could not be deformed or sick, but only the best could be offered to God. Sacrifice must cost something. It has to hurt. In the book of Leviticus, God explains to Moses why it is that animal sacrifices had to be made. The book of Leviticus chapter 17 verse 11 says, "For the life of the creature is in the blood, and I have given it to you to make atonement for yourselves on the altar. It is the blood that makes atonement for one's life." But these sacrifices had to be done over and over again. They only provided temporary relief for the people who were offering them. So God had another idea in mind, an even better sacrifice, a greater sacrifice, something that we see hinted at in the Genesis story of the sacrifice of Isaac. Again, Genesis tells us, when they came to the place that God had shown him, Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. When Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to kill his son, but the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, "Abraham, Abraham," and he said, "Here I am." He said, "Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." And Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught in a thicket by its horns. Abraham went and took the ram and offered up as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." As it is said to this day, "On the mount of the Lord it shall be provided." We see in this story Abraham commanded by God to sacrifice his son, the son he has tried so hard to conceive. Abraham goes to do it and is suddenly commanded by the angels not to sacrifice him, but instead to sacrifice that ram that appears nearby. God tells Abraham that God will provide the sacrifice. What we have to know here is that a ram is not considered a perfect sacrifice. A lamb is. That is what God will provide later on. In the same land, on the same mount, the perfect sacrifice, the Lamb of God, Jesus Christ, who dies on the cross as that perfect sacrifice, more than likely on the same mountain that is mentioned where Isaac was going to be sacrificed, where God will provide. God does indeed provide, and he provides the greatest sacrifice of all time when he gives the world his only son and takes away the sins of the world. This is why John the Baptist says those famous words when he sees Jesus approaching him, "Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world." This is the beautiful connection between the Old Testament sacrifice and Jesus Christ. The Old Testament sacrifices prepared the people to understand the sacrifice of Jesus and to understand the seriousness of sin and the consequences that it causes. These are the beautiful truths that we uncover whenever we read the Old Testament in the lens of Jesus, who shines a light on these mysteries of the Old Testament. God bless you all.